Hello, this is Rob Chisholm, and today we're flying at Newhaven. The pilot here just launched is Dean Bird, who's gladly given me his video to use and chop up and splice as I wish. So I thought it'd be a good idea for all you novice pilots out there that have not flown Newhaven, just come on a little trip with us and see what it's about. First things first, Newhaven is a very small takeoff area, maybe 1 to 3 pilots, but only one can really launch and get off at the same time. So ground handling skills are very important. Ridge lift here, you can see the pilot doesn't particularly give massive amounts of room. That's generally speaking because the ridge lift is quite weak at this point. So you could get a little bit of turbulent air as the pilot passes you by. The ridge on our right, as we're heading towards Brighton Marina, we're heading west. The ridge takes the south-southwest direction, and our ground speed is relatively slow. Here, as we come around the first corner just after takeoff, the cliff face is a lot steeper, the ridge lift is a lot more stronger, and you can fly along this little bit. I use it quite often for taking people on tandem who've never flown the site before, and when they fly along here they quite enjoy it, they quite understand and take the controls, so there's ample height, so we're not too far away from takeoff. We've got a considerable distance to go and many little opportunities to explore, and one of them is going to be thinking about, when you're flying here, what are the conditions doing? The clouds are on the water or on the ground, they show the wind speed. If the water gets to a point where you see white horses out at sea, it's most probably force 4 going to become windy, and if you can't go forwards, usually there's only one place to go, and that's backwards. And on a cliff, in a paraglider, hang glider, glider or anything, if you're not going forwards, you're going to go in rotor. So one of the good reasons when you fly here for asking a club coach is to explain that information, or an instructor will come on a tandem flight. The first little area here, you can see where the actual cliff is eroded and being cut out, and they put a road in. Will I get any lift off that? No, you won't, but you just fly straight across it, so don't worry about it. When you're flying along here, you've gone quite away from takeoff, obviously. You want to be looking at things, what's going on, and all of a sudden we've got the sewage works and we have to cross this bigger gap, which gives no lift. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of looking at the sewage works on the right for a long time. Ignore it, fly across the gap, concentrate ahead. There's a lot of concrete down there, concrete walls and obstacles. Think forwards, think about getting across this gap, put your hands up, fly fast, and you'll cross the gap. Now when you go to cross here, I think it's a good idea to have a quick look over your left shoulder. Make sure that no one's coming flying underneath you or very close who's flying maybe faster than you, because at the end of the day you don't want to be overtaking somebody unless they know you're there. So get your head turning left and right. Now Dean here, he's actually stopped to pick up a bit of height. Now, why would he want to do that, you might think? Well, there's a big gap coming up in the distance of this image, way ahead the white cliff. You'll see it dips down and then comes up. So what Dean has done here, he's actually built up a sufficient amount of height, 200 feet or more, and he's going to use that height to fly across the gap. A couple of options. You could land on the beach, option 1, or you could fly across the gap, is option 2. Option 3, which you shouldn't do, is turn downwind when you're low, because you don't land downwind, remember, always flying into wind. Other areas is there's a little cafe here, and the beach can be very busy, so if you were going to land on the beach, you want to make sure you've got ample room to give to people. You can't expect them to get out of the way. They won't even know you're there. They won't be paying attention to that. So when you go across here, the best way to adopt, I find, is get your height. I sometimes even move out the ridge lift, but I fly as fast as I can to cross this gap, so I'll arrive at the other side with enough height to get ridge lift on the other side of the cliff. So here we go. Dean's ground speed's picking up. Remember, fly fast, get across the gap. It's a good time, if you're watching this video, to maybe pause it, look at the concrete areas that are running left to right there, the Norwegian boulders. It looks really easy to land if you had to land there because there's nobody there, but remember in the summer that can be very, very busy. Now you can also see the cloud moving across the ground. Dean has a quick look over his left shoulder. Obviously wouldn't make a left turn now, but he may have to move away from the ridge to make a landing if he thinks he doesn't have enough height. So when you approach here, you don't want to approach so you actually hit the ridge. You don't want to get that close, but you will arrive pretty close. So Dean's arrived here, not a problem, 40 feet above, let's say. He'll pick up some more ridge lift. Notice the man on the right, he doesn't even know he's walking the dog. He doesn't know there's a pilot 40 feet above him. This is what I'm saying. If you make a landing down the bottom, no point in shouting, watch out, before you hit somebody. You've got to give yourself ample room. From here to make a landing, we're only talking seconds, and it's not a good place to land. So picking the right conditions to fly this site is very important. So at this point you can sort of relax, but you're quite low. The cars are doing about 30. Mr. Dean Bird, nice name, is 24 miles an hour, most probably flying along here. And we're going to approach a place called Rottingdean. So we're going to come down in a moment. Down this little slope, we'll actually go down and cross over some flats. Now because the slope actually goes away, or the ridge goes away, and it's just left with flats, it does still produce lift. But if you wanted to make a landing on this area of beach here because the wind picked up or something was wrong, it's quite a good place to land. There's also a nice pub down there, get steak and ale pie, pint of Guinness, get the bus back. But there's lots of opportunities there. No ridge lift. You could land down there if you had to. Now I've used that before, and it's quite a good place to land safely. Lots of room, lots of time to calculate. That's usually when the wind might pick up or the conditions, in my opinion, have deteriorated. So now we just fly quite happily across the gap. Hands up again if you want to go across quick. The windmill, you might recognise that on the right coming up, and the glider up ahead is quite a long way off, but Dean Bird is on a gin sprint, and it's called a sprint because it moves very, very quick. So when you're flying here, left and right really, up and down the ridge, you want to be looking over your shoulder. Make sure no one's coming up too close behind, because if you get too close and you shout to the person in front, watch out, there's not a lot they can do. They usually have a heart attack. So have a look over your shoulder like Dean's just done there. Make sure if you need to turn left, you can do so. There's no pilot there, because in a moment you'll see Dean gets quite close, and then he makes his turn, obviously. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, and we are there. There we are. We got really close. Oh dear. So Dean has a look left, and he says, no problems, I'll turn left. Got the whole ridge. Goes on a long way. I'll just fly away from him, going downwind now, remember. And you can have a look over his shoulder to his right, and he says, yep, the other guy's got loads of room. We've been to Brighton Marina, that's enough. And all I've got to do is fly back to takeoff and land on the beach. Any questions, email me. They're on the top of the right hand side of the website. Many thanks for the use of the video, Dean.